Big thank you to everyone for attending our Building Your Own Brand business event. And a special thanks to the Smith Business School and Professor Schlocke for making this event possible. The goal of this event is to share and collaborate with aspiring entrepreneurs, as well as gain valuable insight into fellow entrepreneurial startups. We will also discuss running a business during this pandemic, and finally learn how to stand out from other brands, build brand recognition online, and how to develop brand that says what you want it to say.
We'll also be having a short Q&A session available after the event. If you'd like to ask a question to a specific guest, please use their name in front of the question. But if it's a more broad or general question open to any guest, please use the word general also in front of the question. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Hopefully, we'll get to all of them.
So today we have Albert, Alex, Katelyn, Conrad, and Sophia joining us to share their knowledge and their expertise. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join this event. So Albert, we'll start with you. Do you mind telling us a little bit about your business and how you got started?
Yeah, again, thanks for having me. So for me, I have ABTV Productions, which started as a YouTube channel, and I grew it to be a photography and videography service as well. So throughout the time, it just started with when I left high school is when I started it, and I got around 1,000 subscribers off YouTube from that. And then eventually throughout the time on Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok, I also have a alias known as Wholesome Monk, which is why I use for my podcast. I started a year ago, the Wholesome Monk podcast, where it's a comedy podcast where I talk to various guests about different topics from either the college experience in America to dating or to other content creators who are much bigger than me, maybe like 500,000 to 1 million subscribers or followers. So that's what I do primarily for my business.
Thank you very much, Albert. I think we're going to go with Alex next. Do you want to give us a brief backstory of your business and what you do?
Sure. I think I just unmuted myself. Hopefully everybody can hear me. My name is Alex Gomilewski. All right, fantastic. My name is Alex Gomilewski. I've been in various aspects of real estate for the last 18 years. We did real estate brokerage, real estate sales, and investing out of high school, exactly like Albert was saying. I sold real estate through undergrad and grad school. And we also invest in multifamily buildings as well as residential real estate, and also buy, rehab, and flip houses when those opportunities arise. So that's just been it. I mean, my bread and butter is real estate brokerage. We've got just a couple of agents here that help me here at Remax. But then again, whenever we come across a great transaction or a flip or a property that would be good to add to the rental portfolio, we purchase it usually. So that's been the last 18 years of my life.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, guys.
Katelyn, can we hear a little bit about what you do too? Katelyn, are you still with us?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey guys, I'm Katelyn.
Yes.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm a digital marketing consultant and freelancer. I went to Maryland, so go Terps. Specifically, I work with nonprofits and social impact businesses to create their online marketing strategies that include web, social, and email marketing. 2 years ago, my daughter came into this world and it really changed my priorities in life. So self-employment has really allowed me to work less, make more, and spend quality time with my family.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Sure.
All right, Conrad, we're going to like to hear from you now, sir.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, hello everybody. Thanks for having me. Okay, so what I do, not full time, but basically I have a company called Mid Apparel. It's a company that I've been doing now for around 3 years. We're just like an apparel brand, so we have different types of clothing. Originally based out of Maryland, but now we're kind of branching out to different places. I'm currently based in California, so kind of hitting it here a little bit. It just started basically originally as a concept in high school. I didn't really have the resources back then to bring it to fruition, but as time went on, just kind of learn more about it, and basically just a different type of clothing brand, different type of options. We have a variety of things that we offer, and that's pretty much all we're doing.
Got you. Thank you, Conrad. And just a heads up, you are getting a little static when you're talking. I don't know if there's anything you can do with that on your end, but I was able to make out most of what you were saying.
Cool.
Lastly, Sophia, would you, oh, sorry. Thank you, Conrad. Sophia, do you mind sharing a little bit about your business?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So I'm the owner of Dove Jewelry. Dove Jewelry is a jewelry company where every wearable piece is made out of designer vintage buttons. And what we do is we want to create a company that teaches people that you can consume in different ways, in this case, out of repurposed items. We use brands like Chanel, Versace, Bulgari, and Prada to create the pieces. And we try to buy everything either from small shops, all the materials from vintage shops, or from specific providers that do it themselves. We also want to create a brand that teaches people that luxury is affordable and for everyone, not only for specific kind of people. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. So let's get started. Our first question here is, what are some challenges that you faced during the startup period? So we can just go in the same order. Albert, you can start us off.
Yeah, so for me, it was really just it's a mental game, because when you start out, there's so many questions left unanswered, and at least for me, I was younger starting out. So it was a lot of like, oh, there's just big dollar signs everywhere. And as a youngin, you don't really have that kind of income, whether you're working a part-time job or not. And I went to school at the same time too. So it's just, again, about the mental mind game of it, making sure you take care of your mental health when you start it up, because it's going to require a lot of you, especially if you're going to school or you're working a full-time job or you're doing school and work at the same time. It can be pretty challenging. So those are like the biggest challenges I face. And then it's like from the social media aspect, when I do like, my TikTok now that has like 15,000 followers, it's just about maintaining that relationship between you and the people who enjoy your content that you make. Again, you're going to start with like maybe 2 views per every video you do. And even though you spend like half a day on a video or something. So it's just about keeping it up. Always in my mind, when it comes to professional stuff, and even when I do stand-up comedy, whether there's 3 people in the room or whether there's 1,000 people in the room, always act like there's 1,000 people in the room, always stay professional. And that's something that I struggled with early on, but now I started to get it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I'll start with you. What are some challenges that you have faced during your startup?
So yeah, thank you for asking. I kind of second what Albert said, because I started this business when I was pretty young. I was 18, and of course I had no money, no contacts, no relationships, no anything, and you kind of have to build the whole thing from the ground up. And I did the same thing. I went to school, which was also University of Maryland, for both undergrad and grad school. Yeah, it's kind of like you've got to get through that. It's like taking a plane and getting it off the ground, right? You're going down the runway, you're putting all the time and energy and everything, you're not really taking off, but eventually once you take off, it's so much easier to keep flying. But sometimes that takes years and years. I know for me, I think it probably took about 2-3 years at least to get established, where we had, good income coming in and all that. And it's the same thing, challenges of going to school, balance and everything at the same time. But as long as you can mentally stick through that and prepare yourself for the, for the upcoming kind of wind against you, once you're flying, you're flying.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm glad you made it through.
Me too.
All right, next we're going to hear from Katelyn. What are some challenges that you faced during your startup period?
Sure, I definitely agree with what's been said. At the beginning, it can be very overwhelming because there's a lot to do and you're the only person doing it. So my advice would be just take it one thing at a time, and don't get too caught up in having everything in place. I know when I first started my business, I thought I had to have the website up and I had to have everything in place. But really, in hindsight, I wish I had spent more time making connections and networking and finding customers and clients and kind of like building the website, the social presence, the email marketing alongside of that. And I would also agree that mindset is huge. Making sure you have a routine every day, because you go from, for me, I went from working a 9 to 5 to starting my own business. So there was a lot of freedom, which is great. But then also it was hard to find, like, how am I going to stay on track? It was hard to kind of keep myself going. So figure out what works for you, stick to it, and be consistent, and don't compare yourself to other people.
So true. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good advice, Katelyn. Thank you. We're going to move on to Conrad. Same question. Challenges you faced during the startup period of Mint.
Okay, so yeah, it's similarly to what everyone else said. It's just kind of a grind when you're beginning. But specifically for apparel, I feel like it's kind of distinguishing ourselves. There's like a million different apparel companies. So many people that want to start off with that, and it's like, how do you get people to actually purchase or be interested in what you're doing? So just basically having like gaining the customer base, gaining like a presence where one person buys it, making the product good enough in the first place that once they buy it, it's not going to be some cheap thing where they're showing it to their friend. They're like, I'm not really interested in that. So just kind of building that initial customer base where you might get one, because what I found is when one person buys something, most likely that person is going to buy another thing. So just getting that first initial customer, I find like in the beginning, just to kind of get the ball rolling, where you have people then wearing your clothes so someone can see it. If no one's going to wear it in the first place, then you're never going to even get it off the ground. So I would say that's probably that was the biggest thing starting off, was just kind of getting the name out there and getting like the brand recognition.
For sure. Thank you. We're going to go to Sophia now. Would you mind answering the same question? The challenges you faced during when you were starting up jewelry.
Okay, so I just started. So all those great advices that you said, I'm taking them to myself. They were great, but yeah, for sure, I share a little bit of what they said with the customer base and trying to get your brand known. For me, has been a little bit difficult, or not. I mean, a lot of work, at least a lot of work. And something else that has been challenging for me, I don't know you guys, you all come out of Maryland University and everything, but I'm a product designer. So I had no idea of how to handle anything finances. I only did an economy class when I was in high school, did anything related to that in college. And for me, it has been difficult. Like I kind of just dig in, try to make a business, but didn't really know how to budget. So that was a challenge for me at the beginning. And yeah, getting my brand known and a lot of getting customers.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's something we'll definitely touch on in the next couple questions for sure. So we'll definitely dive into that.
Our next question is how have you made your business known? How have you grown your business thus far? You can share a little bit about that. Albert, we're starting with you again.
For me personally, it was so for when it came to ABTV production, meaning the YouTube channel and photography and videography, it was about just asking a lot of people if I could video them doing something, or I could just use them as a model to do some photography, so I can just practice my craft and refine it. And then when it came to social media, it was just about constantly making content. Like I would do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would do content creation. And when I transferred, I started MC. So when I transferred to UMD, I had Fridays off. So I was able to just dedicate Fridays to either working or doing content creation. 'cause I was working at a retail job. So I do retail job in the day, and then night I would do content creation. So just like people to see my work ethic and the grind. And, I just kept on asking them, and I got more prominent on social media, meaning I just, again, kept flooding it with photography content, video content, and people started seeing it and then eventually started sharing it. That's how I got really big on TikTok. Like, at least I want to say 2 weeks ago, I was at like 1,000 followers. And then now, as we're doing this event, I'm at around 15,000. So that just came from constant effort and the skits I did, because I'm a comedian. So I just, just people see something in you. And when they see that and how much you work, they can relate to it. I pride my comedy and everything I do off of relatability. So if you can relate to me, I feel like that's a shared experience. And that's how it just started to grow from there.
Thank you so much, Albert. Yeah, that definitely comes into play where like you keep at it, and then one day you finally hit that viral video, and then all your work pays off. So that's awesome that you grew so fast from 1,000 followers to 15,000 followers on TikTok. You just got to keep doing you and keep going. So for our next person, we have
Alex, I got it. Alex, so what have you done on your side to make your business known this far?
Cool, thank you. And I definitely want to say congrats to Albert for all the success this far and growing this thing. That's not easy. So, my hat's off to you. That's great. On my side, it's definitely 100% relationship business. So I think the biggest thing is just treating people right, kind of like the way you'd want to be treated, and making sure that you put their needs first before, you put your want to get paid or make income or grow your business or whatever. Just because for me, whether it's, whether we're selling properties or whether we're trying to, buy rentals or deal with contractors, we're dealing with the same people day in, day out, and their families and their, coworkers and associates. And I think just putting the clients first before you think about, what you're getting out of it has been tremendous. And I mean, that's why we don't really have a big advertising or marketing budget for our own stuff, but it's, it's been ongoing and growing every year. So, I definitely appreciate all the folks that have come into my life and that I've been able to work with.
Thank you so much. And I totally agree with you. I have worked with him like a couple of times now, and I think he's the best agent I have gotten so far. So
thank you, brother.
no
That's
problem.
kind of you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Okay, next we're going to be hearing from Katelyn. How have you made your business known, grown your business thus far, gotten your brand out there?
Sure. I have to agree 100% with Alex. The biggest and most important thing is that you're customer centric. So always listen to your customer, always do great work. And if you provide that excellent product or service, your customers will come back, but then they will also tell their friends and family and network about you. So it's a self-sustaining business model. And you don't have to always put a lot of money into advertising because people are appreciating your service and they are taking it upon themselves to tell their network about you. So always put the customer first. And then when it comes to content like social, blog, email content, marketing wise, just always be helpful and show your value and your expertise for free. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to give away my secrets or tips, but when people feel that connection with you and like you know what you're talking about, then they will come to you for business. So guides and tips are always really good. Blogs that tell how-tos or any kind of social post that you're giving away some advice or inspiration for free. That always goes a great way.
Thank you. You provided a lot of hot tips there. That was excellent. Thank you so much.
Moving back on to Conrad, how have you grown Mint and made it known? I know you started it in Maryland and now you're out in California. So has there been any kind of change in the growth from here to there, or that's the question.
Yeah, so I'd say still primary customers are in Maryland. We have like being out here, I have gotten a, kind of like an expansion into California. And in general, there's a lot more, I guess, more on the East Coast in general. I have like a lot in Pennsylvania and stuff like that. But what we primarily did, it was just kind of like an organic thing. It's me like in a small group of friends, and we just had the clothes, kind of spread it out, gave here, gave there, and then we basically made it into a store. We would have different promotion codes and stuff like that, but it was pretty much organic. People would see it, be like, "Yo, what's that?" You know, they like what it was. A big thing we had is that you can customize a lot of the designs on the hoodies or on the shirts themselves. You can design the vinyl a different way, and people really like that. So then they can go in and make their own version of the same design they see someone else wearing, but it's a completely different colorway. You know, we have a ton of different like options. So that definitely helped with the growth, just because I think people like being themselves, kind of like even though it is a brand and these are the set kind of designs you have, you can still make your own little custom versions of it. So that kind of helps a lot. Social media, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that, we put up different things like, hey, enter this or use this hashtag when you post. And that definitely helped grow it. Every time we did something like that, you'd see an uptick with just people on the site or sales in general. So that's primarily how we did it.
Thank you. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the hammer there. Customization is like the one thing people want across all services, products, whatever. If you can tailor it more to yourself, you're giving people what they want. We're going to jump to Sophia now. The same question. How have you made your business and grown it?
Okay. So for me, still growing since I just started, but it began a little bit like Conrad. First of all, word of mouth, kind of like the friend circle, the family, telling everybody around them or wearing the pieces. And then we started going strong with social media, with lots of posts, constant posting, a lot of interaction with the users, sometimes with constantly with the followers, but also going and kind of like interacting with people who didn't know us before and kind of starting a conversation with them so they go and notice us. We started our website too. We started adding ads around, and we try to make their experience as memorable as possible. So they keep shopping, they tell their friends, they have discounts every time they shop. Everything is very customized and special for them. So we try to make it very special. And we also are going to start going to food markets and flea markets to get a bit more known in the area in Maryland.
Thank you so much for the insight. Thank you.
Here we have our next question. What marketing techniques have you used or found successful in growing your business? Albert, do you mind starting us off again?
Yeah, for me, it was really just, again, because there's always these different algorithms and such. So at least when it came to TikTok, I just knew, because I love anime, so I was like, let me mix my anime knowledge with comedy and the ability to know, camera angles and all that stuff and incorporate it in there. And it's all about exposure. So if the more people interact, the longer they're on your videos, the more the video will blow up and, have the ability to reach other people's niches across the whole platform. So it was really just making sure that I had videos that, would warrant people wanting to watch it over and over again. Oh, let me share it with this person on Instagram. Let me share it with this person on Twitter. And that's what happened. So that's how that blew up. And then when it came to my photography and videography, I started reaching out to businesses, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, like places like that, where when I started out, I'd be like, oh, I'll just do it for free. Let me just take some photos. Let me take some videos. And then, chop it up into some trailer or commercial for you that y'all can do whatever you want. I don't care. I just want to be able to use on my resume and on my portfolio. So just doing that and people seeing, again, the work ethic that I put in and the content I make, regardless if it's like a trailer or a commercial or whether it's my own comedy content, as long as it's shareable, and easy and not too long because of people's attention spans. I found it easier to see, you know, the marketing, the word of mouth, like it just kind of grew into a bigger fire every day. I look on my analytics, it's just going higher and higher. So that's how I personally did it.
Thank you, Albert. Yeah, that will, you know, get you started. Those are some great marketing techniques. Alex, would you like to continue?
Yes, Alex. Alex, you there?
We can come back to Alex. We can just jump to Katelyn.
All right.
Sorry, Katelyn, for the jump ahead there. Do you mind sharing with us some marketing techniques you've used?
Yeah, so when I first started, I made a list of every person that I know, whether it be like friends, family, through jobs. And I just emailed every person I know and made sure that they knew that I'm off on my own now. I'm doing this. If you know anybody or if you need marketing services, I'm here to help. So just putting yourself out there, using the connections you already have, that's a great way to get started. And just being consistent in how you show up authentically, being yourself, and making sure you know what sets you apart from everybody else. It is really important.
So true. We always talk about how, you know, starting a network is one of the hardest parts. So definitely reaching out to family and friends is a huge part of that too.
Yeah.
Did Alex come back, Usman?
I think he has some internet problems, so he's not in here yet. He's
No
trying
problem.
to get back into the meeting.
We can go to Sophia.
Yeah.
Or Conrad.
Yeah, we can. We can go with Conrad or Sophia. I'll just do Conrad first. So you had mentioned some social media that you've used to kind of market Mint. Is there anything other than that you've used, or is that pretty much it?
Yeah, so for me, it's a lot of social media. Like I said, a lot of the main like organic growth, but specifically within social media, I'll say like one of the big ones that we've done a couple of times is we legitimately would do like a raffle. So as many people who ever follows the page, whoever uses like a hashtag, and I would go in and I did like a little video where you actually see like the raffle with everyone's names in it. So people like their Instagram being seen in general, so they will see that on the page. So it's kind of like an incentive both ways. And then we just give them free gear. So anytime, obviously, everyone loves free. So anytime you give free gear to anybody, they're going to talk about it. And that's like a big one. Like we always get like a lot from that. So that's a big one that we've used.
Thank you, Conrad. Yeah, very true. We're going to go with Sophia now. Same question. I know you mentioned also just social media like Instagram. Do you use anything else that has given you much success?
Yes, so yeah, like I said, in social media, lots and lots of interaction. Also, what we do is they take advantage of the designer on me. And of course, every piece, I try to make it very original, very appealing to people. The photography and the tools I use to make the images very aesthetically pleasing, very beautiful, you know, to attract a lot of people, make them very attractive. So that's a marketing strategy for me. Ads, I try to use SEO for the website to generate a lot of traffic. We also use the characteristics of our brand to target specific niche. For example, we use vintage buttons. So if you like vintage, we go and you target your niche. Eco-friendly, we're eco-friendly. So if you are somebody that wants to take care of your planet, so we kind of target you and post specific things for those kind of people. Or brand is luxury for everyone. So we also target specific people that love to dress well, love fashion, but can't really afford some of those items. So we try to get out there with people and specific little niches of people. We also create a lot of shareable posts, like I think it was said before, and valuable posts. We try to hop into the conversation that are everything that's going on right now. We try to create posts and create specific shareable little pieces or stories about it, and try to get people, interacting with us and with their stories. And we also use other platforms, not on social media, but we use, for example, secondhand shops online like Mercari, Etsy, Poshmark, and Curtsy, and others, to try to get known. So if somebody buys it from a secondhand app, then they get a card with everything with discount. So they go to our shop, and they can share it with their friends.
Thank you very much. You're just kind of appealing to each consumer.
Welcome back, Alex. So, Alex, you
Sorry
there?
about that, guys. My office Wi-Fi went down.
No problem. No problem.
I
You're
came
fine.
into the office to try to be more professional, and my Wi-Fi blocked, so I tethered off my phone. Anyway, so
Sorry,
hopefully
no
everybody
worries.
can hear me.
No worries.
No,
You're
appreciate
fine.
it, guys.
Same
So to
question
answer
for
this
you,
question-
Alex.
Yep. What marketing techniques? So
Yeah.
honestly, my clients, I feel like, do a lot of my marketing. I haven't personally marketed myself too much. We just try to focus on delivering a good product, doing a good job. And it's been 100% word of mouth, kind of seconding a little bit what Albert was saying, try to put, just in general, everybody was saying, trying to put a good product or a good service out there, and the word will spread, which has been the case with me. I mean, we've 100% grown through, thankfully, our clients, our friends, just the relationships that we have, that I'm very, very appreciative for. And then it just comes all back around. So that's been my go-to on my end.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Isman.
Thank you, everyone. Just because we have a little bit of a time crunch, we're going to jump right into the Q&A for the audience. If anyone has any questions, you can write it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, if no one has any questions, I do have one question for Sophia. So Sophia, in terms of like small businesses, jewelries, I know a lot of small businesses similar to yours have partnered with influencers in terms of like sending them a sample product and having them post on their social media platforms. Is that something you will consider doing in the future, or do you think that's not a good idea? Sometimes these influencers do take advantage of small businesses. So what are your opinions on that?
I think it's a great idea. Yes, we already have a program for micro influencers and for bigger influencers, where we give them a discount and a discount code, the typical stuff. I think that's great to, get to be known even with people, even if you have 2,000 followers, if you can get a discount, if people get to know us, for me it's a plus, and for you it's a plus. And if you have more followers, I think it's a win-win situation. I don't think maybe if it was more of a luxurious brand where it was very exclusive, I would think I wouldn't do it. But since our goal is to be affordable and that everybody could wear products, I think it's great. We will definitely be using more influencers. So Albert, if you need jewelry, let me know.
Thank you so much, Sophia.
Thank you. Any other questions from any of our speakers?
Yeah, I'm seeing some in the chat.
Yes, exactly. We'll start with this one. A general question for all the panelists. How do you keep up with building a brand during COVID? And if any one of you, anyone, you could jump in there.
Can I say something?
For sure.
All right, great. So what I noticed is, and I don't know, and some of this had a lot of course, COVID is horrible, and of course everything that's going on is nobody had asked for this, but I saw some business owners just completely clam up and get completely freaked out, and they focused on the customers that they were losing versus the ones that they were retaining during COVID. And I know for us, things slowed down a little bit, that's for sure. But you always, I feel like, have to focus on what's working and what is growing. And the things that you focus on will 100% expand. versus focusing on what's not working. So I saw, I saw some folks that I think just focused on the wrong thing, and their competitors are back up and running and going at 100%, and they're still talking about COVID. And of course, you have to, practice safety and social distancing and all that. But I think it's really, really, really important what you mentally focus on when you're trying to run your business, and that should be the things that are going well and expanding versus the things that are dragging you down. Perhaps that's my take.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys.
We have another question kind of pertaining to COVID from Camilla in the chat. And I think we can all agree that COVID in general is not good that it happened. But she asked, did COVID have a positive or negative impact on your business at large? And this is general to anybody.
For me personally, because I do a lot of stuff online, I do a podcast and stuff. Like my photography definitely took a dive, which was unfortunate. But wedding season, wedding's gonna happen regardless. So I just worked a wedding 2 weeks ago. So that is slowed down, is trickling in a little bit more now that things are kind of opening back up. But a lot of people reschedule stuff. So I shift my focus more on my TikTok content because luckily for me, I'm in the creators fund for that now. So I'm able to profit off of my content on that app now. So for me, my podcast, I can do platforms like this where I use Zoom now to interact with a lot more creators than ever before. So I always, again, COVID's unfortunate. The whole circumstance is unfortunate, but in times like this, a lot of people tend to panic. So within the panic, there's always an opportunity to take. So I just took the opportunity to be like, look, since we can't physically be in one office setting and do podcasting, there's something called Zoom. There's FaceTime. There's all these other ways to kind of still do a podcast and get guests on. I can still do comedy contact. I'm an actor, so I can play multiple characters if I have to, since I can't get an actual cast and crew together. So I just used it as a way to force my creativity to grow more than I ever thought I could. So that's personally how I took the whole COVID situation.
If I could just add something to this question, is that, for example, for me, I started during the COVID period. I used to be an online student. I have a full job. I still have it. But during the pandemic, I had a lot of free time. I think only because of driving to the office and driving back, the traffic and everything. You're tired. You don't really have time for personal projects. But with COVID, since I started working from home, I had so much time for personal projects. And I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to hop in, kind of organize your priorities, organize what you want to do in the future, do a lot of research now that you have a little bit more of time, and take the opportunity that people are online all the time right now to kind of go and ask them what are their needs, what would they like to see, what would they like to shop, and hop on and create something great. Take this as an advantage.
Thank you, Albert and Sophia, for those answers. I appreciate it. Moving on, we have another question from the chat from Solana. She asks, who or what inspired you all to go out on your own?
Can I answer that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Alex. My bad.
Sorry. I'll stop talking. Go ahead.
Just real quick, for me, it was Childish Gambino, aka Don Glover. I always was a fan of him since high school. He went the same route that I'm following right now in terms of doing stand-up, writing, acting. I'm not nearly as musical talented as he is, so I didn't add that to my game. But just in terms of how hard he went, and my dad and mom always been hard workers themselves, so I always had a front row to just what work ethic really is, from them coming from Africa and then having to move to New York City in the 80s in winter, which if anyone's been to Africa, specifically West Coast, Liberia, there's not snow like that. So just getting thrown into a whole jungle known as a concrete jungle in New York City, and seeing them and seeing how we just worked our way to where we at now is something that inspired me to kind of do what I do.
Thank you, Albert. Alex, did you want to answer that too?
Yeah, what inspired, I guess the question was what inspired everyone
you to go out on your own? Right.
Oh, Okay, I mean, who doesn't want to run their own show, right? I think it's fun. But what, like Albert said, you know, it's always hard. I think there's two aspects. You know, there's entrepreneurship aspect of it, but also if you're in a more small boutique office or company, I feel like you just have more. Just more things can get done faster. You have so many more growth opportunities. But having said that, I've never worked in a large corporation, so I'm sure there's fantastic, you know, aspects of both. But I mean, who doesn't want to get in there, run their own show, build their own brand, build their own business? It's just fun. It's, you know, it's, if you're willing to work hard, it's I don't think there's anything like it.
Thank you. I'm sure as an entrepreneurial class that we're taking, we can all appreciate what you're saying.
Cool.
I think maybe just time for one more question. Let's go with, were there any skills that you had to develop independently outside of the general business model that were pivotal towards marketing and starting up your business? And if there was self-teaching, how did you go about this?
Well, I don't know if it answers the question, but for me, marketing strategies and creating posts on Instagram, because you know, you create your own posts. Usually you have your own account on social media, but it's really different when you run a business on social media. Or right now, for example, we're trying to start on TikTok and things like that. Is really hard. Like, you know, Albert, you're doing great. I applaud you because it's so hard. I did a lot of Skillshare videos, lots of online classes, you know, lots of sleepless nights, trying to figure out how to appeal to people, and also, you know, trying to, yeah, see what accommodates people and what people like. That it's really hard to get into that perfect middle point to kind of please everyone and call attention of everyone.
Great.
Can I
Thank you so
say
much,
something
Sophia.
too on that?
For sure.
I would say, you know, just don't be so hard on yourself. For me, I take more like of a laid back approach to my business. I'm trying to like work less and make more. So focus on the things that are going to move the needle, and that's going to be what gets you paid. And kind of learn as you go. Like things are going to come up. The first thing that you do, you're going to have questions like, how do I bill somebody? And then you just Google it and figure it out. Like there's a lot of that. But there's also tons of free certification courses. I'd recommend Google has a digital marketing certification that's completely free. HubSpot Inbound Marketing Academy is completely free. And that's all video instruction of what you should do marketing wise. And it takes you step by step how to build a strategy. And there's tons of stuff out there. If you have Google, you can figure anything out. It doesn't have to be hard. I'm like opposite of the grind hustle mentality. So I respect people. I respect all of you guys that are doing that, but like I'm trying to kind of focus more on my family and make sure that I'm not having any issues with like financial stability. So just to give you like an opposite side of the spectrum.
Definitely. I mean, we see that entrepreneurs come in all shapes and sizes and can fit all different types of lifestyles. So that's definitely very important, especially not everybody's made this of the same material. So that's very good to know. Yeah. We did go ahead and drop everybody's links in the chat. So if you wanted to learn more about our specific panelists, you can go ahead to those sites. I believe we want to go to the next slide. We have something special for all of our attendees and our guests, 20% off coupon to Paisanos Pizza. Thank you for staying to the very end. We want to thank all of our guests. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we really appreciate that. I think, Professor, you had something to say you wanted to add on there too?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very unusual for me that there's a class and I don't talk, right? So I had to we cannot go on with this tradition. First of all, very big thank you to all of our guests for making time. This is first and foremost an educational exercise, and I'm always very excited when professionals come and join and support the learning process. But in entrepreneurship, we very quickly bridge the gap from this is educational to, hey, I really need this for life. And I think we saw this in the session. We immediately bridged into things that are universally helpful. But again, thank you very much for your time, and those of you that I chatted up, there were some interesting connections. I'm at Maryland now for a long time, so there's always some connective tissue to a lot of people that I didn't know that exist. So, but thank you very much for coming, and everybody in the session. Make sure you contact our contributors, give them some love, give them some business. That's ultimately what counts in entrepreneurship. And again, great session. Please, everybody from the class, if you just stay on for another 2 minutes,